Panther Nation, Rockstar Gang, what up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Everybody's in the chat. Everybody's in the chat right now. Chat it up. Get in here. Pound that like button. Let's have a fucking show, ladies and gentlemen, because I have a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the whole David Tepper thing. Don't worry about that. We're going to talk about Scott Fitter. We're going to talk about Bryce Young. We're going to talk about this team as a whole. But I am going to harp on Mr. Tepper today, and I'm going to be harping on this whole draft debacle because, hell, former players right now are just absolutely trolling us, and other teams are trolling us. Jaguars are trolling us. Chicago Bears are trolling us, and as they should. We deserve it, and the only person we can blame for that is our owner, okay? That's the only person I can blame for that. First off, let's make sure we get this clear real quick. First off, Happy New Year to every one of you guys who come in here and continue to show your support to the channel. And also, hope everyone had a safe and wonderful Happy New Year. Some of us, like myself, was a good boy last night. I decided to stay in. I didn't do anything crazy. Wanted to just have a nice, chill New Year's Eve. Didn't really care about it that much, honestly, this year. I didn't feel like, a new year, only thing I could think about is what I wanted to do in 2024. One of the biggest things is obviously growing this channel. So the best thing you can do by doing that is making sure you pound that like button and subscribe to the channel. Those two things, that's all I ask. All right. But that's one of my New Year's resolutions here is to continue to get this channel where I want it and to bring in new things. I want to be able to interview players. I want to be able to do all this stuff. There's a lot of things that I have in my mind for this channel. So your support is the only way that helps me to get to those things. So far, we're at 4,900 subscribers. We're almost to that 5K mark. So thank you so much to all you guys who have shown your support here and continues to show your support. So greatly appreciate it. But I hope everyone is having a wonderful New Year's. And, I got some resolutions in the bag for myself besides growing this channel. There's other things that I got going on in my personal life that I need to handle as well. Justin's in here. The league bans him from Carolina. Forget the development. Bryce, new head coach, new players. The only thing I want right now is the clown gone. Embarrassing of being a Panthers fan. It's tough right now, guys. I don't even want to ask what the temperature check is because I already know, right? I already know what the temperature check is. It's pissed off. It's heated. It's above 9, over 9,000. You know what I mean? Like Dragon Ball Z shit. Like your levels, your levels are all the way up, right? You know what I mean? Do you think his discipline would change if the fans charges him with assault? I mean, there's multiple ways that this can go, right? I mean, it's a scenario that could be anything from that, Liz. I mean, he could have charged him for assault because technically it is. And obviously it wouldn't even matter though to David Tepper because of how much money he's got. He's probably got a lawyer that is very, very good. They'll probably just pay the fan off if anything. And that's probably as far as it would go. And then the league suspends him. The only way that they can get him out of here is unless the league decides to have a vote for him. And if 3 out of the 4, so basically if 75% of the league votes him out, then that's the only way of getting him out. And I read that sometime today on Twitter. Will it happen? Probably not. But we're going to talk about his actions here shortly. Trolling hard, Clay. They are trolling us, man. It is what it is. This is probably one of the most embarrassing. This is going to go down into one of the most embarrassing organizations in NFL history and in Carolina Panthers history. I stayed home, got drunk, but yeah, that's basically me. And then I woke up this morning and hit the gym. Sell the team. Yeah, I want him to. Doubt it. Pop some fireworks, and there you go. I had so many fireworks going around me, I didn't even need to buy any. This team stinks from top to bottom. It's atrocious, man. It's atrocious. It's atrocious, and it starts with David Tepper. All right, it starts with David Tepper. So speaking of former Panther players talking smack about us, this draft this May with what you see there with DJ Moore, we literally secured the number 1 overall pick, right? And in this nightmarish reality that we're living in right now, guys, the deal with the Chicago Bears, obviously involving Bryce Young that we do have now with wide receiver DJ Moore, that we relinquish that top pick to them. And basically with a cheeky nod to this Panthers pitiful season, Moore thanked us, basically saying, thank you for trading me. Thanks for trading me. Thank you for making me feel like the number one pick. Thank you for giving us the number one pick so Marvin Harrison can come over here and Justin Fields and I and Marvin Harrison can ball out, right? Because that's basically what this fiasco paints a picture of, and it's just an embarrassment. The decision makers who were once proud of their off-season moves, all DJ Moore had to say to him was thanks to Carolina, and that's all I can say. That's literally what came out of his mouth. You know, another thing is we saw Derek Brown frustrated in this game. Okay, this is something I want to harp on real quick. We've got players in this team right now who are very frustrating, and these people who are shining stars like Derek Brown. Derek Brown is a man amongst boys in this league right now. And he had a huge meltdown against the Jaguars. He's had a remarkable season. He continues to earn credit here. However, Brown couldn't escape the heat. He got into a skirmish with Cam Robinson, led to both players being ejected this game. He basically post-game showed some remorse, really expressed his desire for a solid finish to the season, acknowledged his team's struggles, and praising the resilience of his teammates, and really just salvaging positivity that might be challenging, but Brown seems determined to make that effort. We also saw frustrations from Bryce Young who had a great performance against Green Bay, but then basically was steering a sinking ship in this disaster week 17. And the frustration obviously was shown with Young, expressing his emotions on the sideline, including having this dramatic act of throwing a tablet, but taking accountability of his lackluster performance, the offensive display, acknowledging that the Jaguars front did their job and ours didn't. And I'm calling for some improvement here. Communication, decision-making. There needs to be improvement all around in that aspect of things. Sure. But Bryce also has to take accountability for his action. There was times that Bryce had opportunities and failed to make those opportunities. Okay. This offseason becomes that critical time for this rookie quarterback who right now is facing a lot of criticism. Let's be honest. In his first year as a rookie, loses his first year head coach, but he is facing a lot of criticism. And a lot of people are blaming him for the reasons of why this team is so atrocious. But we all know that that's not the main thing here, guys. Let's all be honest here. It starts with David Tepper, okay? So you can't punish this kid and the inconsistency of support around him and just blame it all on him. When it also starts with David Tepper as the owner, making all the decisions, right? Forcing his GM to pick the players, draft the players, sign these players, coaching staff hires, tell them how to coach, telling them what plays to call. How can anybody in this situation be successful? You know what I mean? You have to make a decision here, David Tepper, and you have to provide the necessary support and sit back and relax and let the chips fall where they lie and let the football people do their thing. Okay? You've already let basically, and I used to say you risked yourself of being labeled incompetent, but now you have labeled yourself incompetent, right? David Tepper is now, for me, has listed himself incompetent. Okay? So let's dive into this whole conundrum of bullshit. Because David Tepper After being in a disastrous position, we're 2-14. He's back in the limelight. Not for the stellar leadership skills that he's got. Oh, no, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. But you got obliterated 26-0 by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Tepper's frustrated, and I've hit a peak levels during a heated exchange with the Jaguars fans. We've seen it all. We've seen the video. In a press box, nonetheless. And guess what? He didn't just throw shade at the fan. He channeled his inner toddler and chucked parts of a drink into the stands. Bravo, Tepper. Bravo. You fuck. You fuck. That's what you are. Bravo. Let's give a hand clap to Mr. David fucking Tepper. The baby, the true baby of the Carolina Panthers organization. Showing his true colors. And here's another thing. The NFL, ever the beacon of really insightful commentary, really graced us with their profound wisdom with this. You know what I mean? Because they said they were aware of the video, but they have no further comment at the time. That's a lot of, that just makes me think, the eloquence, right? Of that statement. Who needs action when you have a statement as empty as the Panthers win column this season? Who needs action when you can have a statement as empty as the Panthers win column this season? In this dumpster fire of a season, guys, Tepper's last spectacle adds a pinch of spice to the Panthers' cocktail of disappointment. You like what I did there? You like what I did there? This loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars wasn't just bad. It has now hit an historic low. It was the first time since 2002 the Panthers were held scoreless. A record even their quarterback, Bryce Young, can't even claim. Probably didn't even know about. Let's be honest. But this video of Tepper's theatrics has become this piece of, it's like a French word. It's like a piece de resistance, right? Of his ownership style, which critiques have described as a delicate blend of violating and trying to think of a big word here. Trying to sound a little smart today. Petulance. Okay, if you don't know what that word is, petulance. Okay? But hold on. There's more. Because the firing of head coach Frank Reich and Tepper's casual dismissal of the need for top-tier pass catchers for this rookie quarterback is a comedy of errors again. Okay? Shakespeare couldn't write this any better if he wanted to for this. Basically, he could, except it would be a tragedy for him, right? He could write this up. It's less poetry, but more chaos, right? That's all it is. But this Drinkgate, as the incident is now just hilariously ridiculous. I mean, it really is. And it raises eyebrows and concerns about us as an organization and a workplace culture. Think about that. Who would want to work for an owner like that? Coaches? I mean, hell, anybody. Now, the question is, though, and we were talking about it in the chat, will the NFL take action? Fines, draft pick penalties? I say place your bets, folks. I really do. Place your bets, because I wouldn't be surprised if it's all three. Suspend him for 6 months, fine him some chump change, and they take away our second round pick this year, because we're already fucked anyways. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. Seriously. Have you ever watched a car crash in slow motion? Because that's how it is with this organization. Except the car is Tepper's credibility, and the collision is more spectacular than the Panthers season. Tepper's grand promises of turning the Panthers around are as believable as if you're in the desert trying to survive and you see a mirage in the desert. That's about as believable as it is, because the doubts about his leadership abilities are now dancing in the end zone alongside the Jacksonville Jaguars, celebrating the absurdity of it all. The tarnish on the Panthers' reputation and their appeal to potential head coach candidates, what does that look like now? Because all Tepper has done is created a masterpiece of chaos. That's all he's done. With Tepper at the helm, guys, we need more than hope. We need more than hope. This team deserves better leadership, but in the NFL ownership, the power of money often speaks louder than the reason. The only way that this is going to get done is that Tepper hires the right GM, the right head coach, a culture-changing head coach. And another thing he's going to have to do is keep his drinks to himself, man. Keep your drinks to yourself. And let the other football guys figure out this nightmare for you. Because that's all you've done. You're the one who created this nightmare. You're going to have to get us out now. This is an owner who has acted like a child now. But he is the one that has put us in this position in the first place. And he's thrown the F word in the locker room. He's thrown a drink at a fan, an opposing fan, that he so-called loves all these fans coming into town. David Tepper, fuck your Messi thing. Fuck your Beyonce thing. Fuck all that. Nobody cares about any of that. I'm done hearing about the economic shit that you've brought to the city of Charlotte. Great. I'm glad. That's good. That's good. I'm not going to harp on that. I'm not going to say it's bad, because it does bring jobs. It helps with the economy. Sure. I'm all about that. But at the end of the day, you're an owner of a sports franchise. And you have done nothing but meddled within these football operations, and you have fucked us. You chose to hire a head coach. First and foremost, you chose to hire a head coach that who had some football NFL experience. Sure. He was an offensive line coach, Matt Rule, offensive line coach, I think for New York Giants. Sure. But he was a culture builder in college football. That does not always necessarily translate into the NFL. We've seen that. Didn't work out. Your patience, you held on a little bit longer to Matt Rule than you did with Frank Wright. But you paid a head coach, Frank Wright, $70 million to come here after he just got fired from his other job. And you hired Matt Rule before you hired your GM, Scott Fitter. Every NFL owner knows that you always hire your GM and you let your GM hire your head coach. It's not the owner. And you said you don't accept mediocrity, but yet ever since you've been here, our record has been, I think it's now that after all these losses, I think now that ever since you've gotten here, we are, I think it's like something crazy like 32. And I want to say now that with 14 losses, the last time I saw it was 30 and 63. So you're like 32 and 77 as an owner. That's embarrassing. You told your GM to go all in on this kid. You gave away DJ Moore, which was the wrong move, by the way. Which was the wrong move. You should have gave up Brian Burns if you were going to make that trade. If you want to make that trade correctly and do it correctly, you trade away Brian Burns. Brian Burns right now is not someone I want to build around anymore. So now that's another issue for another day, but we're talking about David Tepper. So you hired Matt Rule, then you hired Scott Fitterer, so you did it ass backwards. You basically meddled within the football operations there, so basically you did the same thing with Frank Reich, telling him who to draft, who knows, play calling, this is who you should bring in as your coaching staff. I mean, I don't know at this point, but the list goes on of what you've done. You are the reason that this team is where it's at. Either way, we want to talk about all the list of things that he's done wrong. Sorry, guys. Fixing my internet. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. I'm back, though. I'm back. I apologize, folks. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened. For some reason, my internet loves to just go in and out for some reason. So I might have to talk to my internet provider about that, but I have great internet most of the time. Anyways, I was going on my rant there. Thought Tepper got to you for speaking the truth. He might have just like tried to fuck with my shit. He probably was like looking at all of YouTube and saw my shit. You never know, Liz. You might be right. No problem, Clay. Thanks, JP. Thanks for all of you that stuck around, though. Sorry about that. But again, so I was talking about how David Tepper, right, hired Matt Rule. That didn't work out, but you hired your GM after you hired Matt Rule. You hired a guy, right, that was a college coach. I mean, yes, he coached in the NFL, sure, but not as much experience as these other guys like Steve Wilkes that you passed up on instead of bringing him in, who was a culture change and did everything right as an interim head coach, and you passed up on him, who had this team almost winning the NFC South last year after he took over after you fired Matt Rule. But then you go after and pay a man $70 million after he just got fired from the Indianapolis Colts because he wasn't doing his job over there. It wasn't developing quarterbacks because that's what he so-called is. But we all know Frank Wright was a fraud because he didn't get his way over in Indianapolis and he didn't get his way over in Carolina, and he sealed his fate when he chose to not do things correctly for this offensive scheme, didn't want to change the play calling up, didn't want to work on developing your quarterback, but you hired him, Tepper. You hired him, and that's on you. You didn't pick the right quarterback in the draft because when Frank Reich came here, him and Scott Fitterer already had it mindset to get CJ Stroud. In my opinion, I think that's the truth of the story there, folks. I think that Scott Fitterer and Frank Reich were on the same page to get CJ Stroud, and David Tepper told them, no, I want Bryce Young because of his name. You picked Bryce Young because of his name, because he was a Heisman Trophy winner out of Alabama, and you thought that this kid would put asses in seats, except all he's done this year has been atrocious because your GM that you hired, Scott Fitterer, did nothing to adequately bring in the right talent and draft, and has made one of the worst trades in Carolina history, because it could go down as that if Bryce Young doesn't pan out. But that's all on you, David Tepper, because you hired these people and you told them what to do. That's why we're in this situation. That's why Bryce Young won't pan out. And that's why we're 2-14. It's not all Bryce's fault. It's not Bryce's fault. It's the owner's fault. I've been telling you this, that from the beginning, it starts from the top and it goes all the way down to the GM, then to the coaching staff, and then to the personnel, then to the players. It goes down the line. Whether you like it or not, that's how it works. And that's what we're seeing now. And I've been saying this on this channel for the last 6 months, ever since we ever since we started 0-3 this season. I've even had this speculation of things going on since preseason. I did not think this team from top to bottom was adequately enough built. Yeah, I might have said some stupid ass shit because I did believe. I tried to believe. I tried to be that optimistic fan. It is hard to blame anybody here except David Tepper. You can't blame anyone else for these actions. What you're seeing on the field is not Bryce's fault. What you're seeing on the field is not Brian Burns' fault. It's not Derek Brown's fault. It's what this clueless owner and management has done to this organization. And David Tepper showed his true colors yesterday. He is a baby. He's a baby, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He needs to sell the team. We need to bring somebody in, and that's not going to happen, though. So what needs to happen now is the NFL needs to take action. This is what I think that needs to be done. The NFL needs to take action, and whoever, they need to suspend him for 6 months, because I want them to suspend him for at least 6 months. So that gives us time to adequately bring in somebody like a new GM and like a new head coach, and someone will do it the right way. And I have a feeling someone in that office is competent enough somehow to understand what we're looking for here. I don't know how that works, though, because, again, if you suspend an owner and you find him, and we need a new head coach, we need a new GM, how does that work particularly? Because he's the one who has to make the decisions to hire the GM, and then let the and then, of course, I would love for him to let the GM make the next head coach hire. But I don't know particularly how that works. But again, at the end of the day, guys, I've been telling you before and I'll say it again. That man right there, as you see on your screen, is the reason that we are in the situation. Not a rookie quarterback, not the offensive line, not the defensive line, not the secondary, not the wide receivers not getting open, not the tight ends not getting open. All this other bullshit that we're seeing on the field is because of what this owner has done to this organization ever since he's taken over from the beginning. And Jerry Richardson is rolling in his grave right now. It's going to be even with a rookie quarterback, and let's say Bryce Young does pan out, it'll still be 3 years before we even see any progress, unless you hire the right people, you hire the right GM, you hire a right head coach. So this whole thing about saying Bryce Young's a bust, this whole other thing about all this other BS needs to go out the window for right now. I'm tired of hearing that it's on Bryce Young. How can a rookie quarterback do anything when you got an owner doing what he has done? The circumstances around your players is how your players are going to play. And this is obviously a testament of what David Tepper has done. This just proves that he is the issue. We might have another Dan Snyder or James Nolan on our hands here in Carolina. Not kidding you. It would not surprise me if it's, like I said, I've always said this, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And that's where it's heading right now. It's going to get worse before it gets better, folks. It really is. This man is a toxic human being running an NFL organization like a child. Marcos, we're not talking about Bryce's performance right now. What we're seeing on the field is because of our owner, not because of a rookie quarterback, but because of our owner. I don't care what anybody says. The circumstances is not right for any quarterback in the NFL, especially a rookie. It's all in one. And it can be both. Sure, Marcos. Sure. It can be both. But it does not help that the circumstances around him aren't benefiting him in any way. But again, it starts from the top. Starts from the top. I'll have more on this at the end, guys. I'll have my final thoughts at the end. Because I don't want to harp too much on this anymore, guys. Okay? I'm not going to harp too much anymore on this. I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this at the end. I got some more stuff for you guys. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in. I got people in the chat. Love it. Make sure you're chatting it up. Make sure you pound that like button. Let's continue getting the Ropp Star Report where it needs to be and where more people can come and in here and let them know there are. This is a place for you guys too to come in and let me know your thoughts. Okay? This is a place where it's, everybody has the right to their opinion here. Whether you're a Bryce hater, whether you're a Bryce supporter, because I know that there's a lot going on with that. So if you're a Bryce hater, cool. I'm open to the discussion. I'm open to the debate. Me and Marcos always go back and forth. And he's the moderator. So, all right. Early vacation. Italy vacation. These guys got to go, man. Time for them. Go ahead, pack the bag, go to Cabo. Do what you need to do, man. Do what you need to do. Hey, mate. Experiment for me has run its course. It has ran its course. Cade May's experience has run its course. He's inconsistent. He's just become this middle name guy who's entered his year 3 and requires. And for me, you need more. I need more confidence out of you. And you've had no substantial development. And you got a cheap contract and an injury from the latest embarrassment. I mean, Mays should be spared. All right. May should be spared from further damage in a meaningless game like it was yesterday. Let the new coaching staff decide his fate. Keep him on the field. Keep him on the field is more doing us more harm than good. You know what I mean? Akeem Aquano, which I'm going to talk more about him here after this. Icky has regressed this season, and this is the most alarming regression I've ever seen. Okay? His sophomore year has been a series of underwhelming performances after performances. And opponents identify him as a weak link. And that franchise caliber hopes of being the franchise left tackle has faded away for me. I'm sorry. Whether he moves to the edge or the interior is a topic of debate, which we're going to talk about here next. Removing Icky Aquano from the lineup in Week 18, for me, at this point, is essential. Proven further damage to his confidence. Bryce Young is struggling as well. It's just erratically tied to Aquano's ineffectiveness. Bryce's performance has been affected by Icky as well. Whether you want to say that Bryce's footwork affects the offensive line, which I've never heard of, I don't know if that's true or not. Can someone explain that to me? Because I've heard a lot of Panthers fans saying that Bryce's Young's footwork affects the offensive line. How does that do that? Because I want someone to make that understand to me real quick. Is it because are you saying because he steps too far back in the pocket? Okay. But make that make sense to me. I want to understand why a quarterback's footwork affects an offensive line. Does it? I mean, because last time I checked, each and every player on the field has an individual job. A left tackle has his job. A left guard has his job. A center has his job. A wide receiver has his job. A tight end has his job. So make that make sense to me as to why we sit here and say that Bryce Young's footwork affects the offensive line. Because how does that affect Icky Aquano getting cooked up by Josh Allen? Shy Tuttle is another one. They accumulated 155 rushing yards against our defense. Shy Tuttle was brought in on some decent amount of money, first off. He needs to provide the necessary consistency in the middle, and he hasn't. He was forced into a role, honestly, though. So I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway here because he was forced in a role that was unsuited for him in the first place. Tuttle's performance still needs to meet expectations. But again, with the postseason hopes gone, benching Tuttle allows the opportunity for guys like Nick Thurman, who's actually played pretty damn well, in my opinion, and LeBron Ray. I think that the future is uncertain with Tuttle, but proving him a break in the season finale is it's a strategic move. Assess your other options and plan for a defensive overhaul as well. This whole team needs a complete overhaul. This is where it's gotten to the point now that it has to go down to a fire sale. You have to do a fire sale now at this point with this team. This organization's that bad. You have to do a complete fire sale. We are comparative of a clueless owner with gives zero fucks about money. Exactly. He's a piece of shit. What's up, Anthony Brad? What's up, man? Happy New Year to you, brother. Tyree Ross, what's up, brother? Appreciate you being in the chat. Happy New Year to you. He just needs to hire Cam and step back. I would love for Cam to come and be our president at this point. We're already throwing shit at the wall. See if it sticks. Cam might have some good insight. I'd be willing to look into it. Clay, take me for example. I'm a huge Marcos fan. I would block that motherfucker. That's fucked up. Battlehawk Superfan. Is that that's got to be Mad Chatter. Mad Chatter, you changed your name on me, boy? Come on now. Not a good look for the Carolina Panthers organization. Now, hasn't looked good. Hasn't looked good at all this whole season. Let's be honest. Bro, I don't know what happened to Icky, but he's got horrible coaching or not. He's just bad right now. Dude, he is getting cooked up on like barbecue chicken. He is terrible. Power rushers, he's fine. But it comes into these speed rushers like a Josh Allen. All right. They just cook him. They cook him. No offensive line effect. No, the offensive line affects Bryce's footwork, I think. That's what I was always brought up when I was playing football. But the offensive line's movement is what affects your quarterback's movement. But that's just me. I mean, I don't know. Apparently, I'm special ed if I say something like that, though. Tepper used my line of not accepting mediocrity and turned it against us. Oh, he's turned everything against us. Maybe the meaning on holding on the ball too long affects the line. No, that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Now, him holding on to the ball is on Bryce. That is not on the offensive line. All right. Him holding on to the ball too long is because he's not the wide. That means that the wide receivers and tight ends aren't getting open, or they are, and he's hesitant on throwing it, right? Which we've talked about before. That's been one of his issues as well. So, but that has nothing to do with the offensive line. The offensive line can only, a good offensive line will give your quarterback a solid, I would say, 3-4 seconds to throw the ball, right? If your offensive line can give your quarterback 3 to 4 seconds to throw the ball, you're doing something right. Because on average, it's most of the time that quarterbacks are getting the ball out like 2 minutes or 2 seconds. Sorry. At least that was Brady's average. It seems like 2 seconds. When the center moves the ball, you go, Clay. I feel you. I said that because Ron Rivera in the last year of his tenure. Yeah. We need to rebuild that we should have done years ago. Yeah, we've retooled. We've never rebuild, guys. We've never done a full rebuild. It's time to pick some players. I would say maybe pick 5 players that you want to build around. Or pick 5 players that or one or 2 players on each side you want to build around. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the depth of his dropbacks, not so much the footwork. Bryce needs to. Yeah, I can understand the deep dropbacks too. Like, I can understand that, but you know what I mean? Like, that's what I was getting at, JP. Like, some of the things that I hear that come out of people's mouths just doesn't make sense to me. Just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not saying I'm 100% a ball expert. I know a lot about ball, but just some things are just don't make sense to me. That's all I'm saying. But I understand the too far of dropbacks, which I have mentioned before. I see why GM getting more production than Birds. It seems like he has this year. YGM was on pace, man, before he got injured. So it's pretty insane to see that, Burns, yes, yesterday had a sack, but again, a season where there's no double digits. Is that on Burns or is that on the players around him, right? Because like we were saying with the whole David Tepper issue, we don't have a team built here for anything. And I would say that for defensively and also offensively. Like I said, we adequately have done nothing through the draft in this and free agency due to the fact of our owner meddling within football operations, but also our GM and the scout team not adequately could see talent from afar. I've mentioned multiple times, we passed up on guys in the draft like Justin Fields, Patrick Surtain, Micah Parsons, Amon-Ra St. Brown. The list goes on guys that we passed up on that we could have had. Yeah, he's got a lot to work on for me. It's the footwork for me. It's the deep ball accuracy. Being able to push the ball down the field. You got to be able to do that in the NFL. So for me, deep ball accuracy is another thing for Bryce. Footwork and working on the decision making and reading defenses. I think that he's just got to work on every little aspect of his game, honestly. And he's shown flashes, he's shown brilliance, but he hasn't shown enough for me to say, hey, circumstances, of course, are involved in that. Never give up. Let's be honest. Circumstances are also involved in that, as of what we've been talking about today. But again, he also has to play his game as well. He has to be the quarterback, the leader on the field on offensive. So that does fall in his lap of responsibility. So I think there's definitely, I would say the top three things for him though, is footwork, deep ball accuracy, and his more well-timed throws and decision making. I don't know about complete overhaul. We do have some talents in areas. Depends on who you want to replace. I mean, I get it, keep pounding, but again, there is some guys that I just like these three guys. I would say Cade Mays project, Shy Tuttle, Miles Sanders. Who else? Chandler Zavala. Let's see who else. Nash Jensen. I would even say Bradley Bozeman. Let's see who else who hasn't done shit. Camus Gruger Hill, Jeremy Chin. Hell, I would even say our whole secondary. Get rid of Dante Jackson. Get rid of J.C. Horn. I like Von Bell. I like Xavier Woods. I like Deion Jones. I've seen enough out of Deion Jones. I like Luvu. I like Derek Brown. I mean, the list goes on with this team, right? If we're looking at the depth chart, there's some guys that I'm just like, time to cut ties. We tried. It didn't work. I could go down the whole list. Yeah, Bryce can step up and can't step up in the pocket. That's not there, and left side of the line has been a big issue. Well, we're going to talk about that, Chris. I'm glad you brought that comment up. So, Icky to left guard. The question here is, chat, does it make sense? Right? I'm coming in hot today, guys. This whole David Tepper thing's got me heated. Okay? I'm done holding back on this team. I'm done holding back on this owner. You're going to see a different side of Clay from here on out through these live streams. You're going to see a different side of me. And it's going to be real, and it's going to be hot. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be confident. It's going to be witty. You're going to listen. That's why you're here. So you got to make sure you pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, because you don't want to miss any of this. All right. I just think Burns. Oh, wait. We need to upgrade the safeties at some point. The closing speed was garbage. I think Jeremy Chin, I like Jeremy Chin, but they're using him wrong. They're using him wrong. The thing is Jeremy Chin, go look at his rookie numbers. When he was playing in the safety position, he was one of the best players on the field. He was great at the run stopping, and he was great in the pass coverage. And that's why we need Von Bell or Xavier Woods makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me whatsoever why we needed Von Bell. Like, I'm not saying Von Bell's bad. I like Von Bell. But why did we need Von Bell when we had Jeremy Chin? We didn't need him. Or even if you had Xavier Woods, why? Why? You have Xavier Woods, put him at strong safety. You can put Xavier Woods in free safety too. He can play both. He's good enough. I've seen Xavier Woods for me this year has done very well. His PFF grade is very high, and he's one of the highly rated safeties this year. Von Bell's good. He's a good communicator. I like that, but we didn't need him. We had Jeremy Chin. Why go out? Why sign that guy? Why did we need Von Bell? Because the reason why they did that was because they thought that they could move Jeremy Chin to the nickel because of his versatility. They moved Jeremy Chin to the nickel because of his versatility, but he plays more like a linebacker and a safety. He's not a nickel corner. Can he do it? Sure, but he's not like Troy Hill. Troy Hill's a true nickel corner. It makes no sense to me. I just think Burns isn't it. We need to try and trade him. He's not worth $30 million a year. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the cusp of that, Chris. I'm on the cusp of that, guys. Like, Burns has to go. I think I think Burns needs to go. We don't have a first round pick this year. I think you can get a first and a third for him at best. You might as well take that, rebuild through the draft. But again, it comes down to who our next head coach is and who the next GM is here in Carolina. It all comes down to that. Burns' future will lie in the next GM and the next head coach. So with that, his future is uncertain. And again, only time will tell. The deep ball last game was perfect for Bryce. The wide receivers can catch the ball. I mean, there has been some missed drops too. I mean, I agree with you there, Chris, but there has been some times that Bryce still needs to work on his deep ball accuracy for me. Still needs to be able to push the ball down the field for me. I'm celebrating the XFL and USFL merge signed TMC. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'll watch it. It's not like I'm sitting there, going to come on here and talk about the XFL and all that. But, I like watching it. I mean, it gives me something to watch, a little bit of football to watch while I'm obviously, waiting for next season of the Carolina Panthers. But of course, you're going to see me live here You'll see me live. Same thing every single week, guys. I'm still going to be live, even though we go into the off season. There's going to be a lot of off season content coming. I feel like we're getting talented players drafting while we're drafting positionally, but they are being mismanaged. We don't know what to do with the talent once we get it. Keep pounding. I mean, you can make a point and you can make a good debate with that comment. I think that is an open for discussion comment right there. I don't think you're wrong, but I think it's definitely a comment that I think it's a discussion for another day, right? You know what I mean? Only 3 players are worth keeping. The rest of the roster sucks. Bro, man's coming in hot with that. I mean, honestly, I can see why he says it because, I mean, there's only a few players I really, really want on this team. I mean, really, really want. That's just me, though. I'm with that shit. Clay, get him, bruh. I got you, JP. So let's talk about this situation. Appreciate everybody's comments. So again, Inky to left guard. Does it make sense? Because is shuffling Ike Ekwonu inside just football talk, right? Or is it really something that we should really look into? Is it like this is for real shit, right? He's a former first-round pick. But this season alone, I've never seen a guy regress as bad as he has. And let's face it, the thrill has been chiefly for the opposing pass rushers. The opposing pass rushers have eaten him up, just like Shaq says, barbecue chicken. Easy money. Ekwonu was supposed to be the left tackle savior that we've been looking for. He's basically turned pass protection into a game of where in the hell is Ike Ekwonu, in my opinion. One moment, he's on skates, sliding like he's in an audition for a winter sports team, like he's out there ice skating in a rink, right? And the next, he's staring into the abyss when defensive front throw a twist at him. Like, it's literally like watching a suspenseful thriller. And there's that plot twist every other play of that movie, right? The only twist we need is in the game plan. I'm going to be honest with you. Not on Ekwonu's struggle reel. Okay? Sure. He played guard. He played tackle in college. Showcased great in the run blocking game. That can make a defensive lineman question their life choices. And that's what he's shown in his game film. But in pass protection, that man is more lost than a tourist without Google Maps in a foreign city. That son of a bitch, if he doesn't have it, he has no idea where he's going. All right? You want to call this a sophomore slump? This has just been a saga of frustration for me this season with this kid. Okay? In his rookie season, he conventionally shifted a run-heavy strategy, which is Icky's, I would say, more of his expertise. Let's be honest. Okay? Which really, that run-heavy strategy really masked Ekwonu's deficiencies. Let's be honest, folks. It masked it. It hid it from us. It was like using Photoshop to airbrush away the blemishes on a selfie, which I know all about that too well. Done it before. Okay? But that honeymoon phase for Ike Ekwonu and for me and with this team is over for me. Ekwonu has been exposed this season, and all of his pass protection vulnerability. You have to make a tough decision here. I'm sorry. Should they kick him to inside guard where the chaos of pass protection already might be less of a thriller? Or is it more of a manageable sitcom? That's the question. I love comparing these things because I feel like I'm in a movie with this team. One that I really just want for it to come to an end. You drafting linemen in the top 10 only to shuffle them around like they're chess pieces. It's not a crime. It's a strategic move. Who cares if he was meant to be the guardian of the left tackle spot? The goal is to keep your quarterback upright. Especially a guy that you drafted first overall. Right? Sending Ike Ekwonu back to left tackle in 2024 is an akin to playing a Russian roulette with Young's blindside. You're literally playing Russian roulette with Bryce Young's blindside if you put him back at left tackle next year. Because if there's a proven O-line maestro out there, right, who aligns with the new head coaching staff's vision that comes in here, please open up that checkbook. Please. Because if not, then you give Ekwonu one more shot to really try to redeem himself. And that's a high-stakes poker game for me, guys. And he will either fold under pressure or he's going to play his way into the Panthers' good graces again. In these NFL decisions, guys, moving Ekwonu inside might just be the move that Panthers really need. You're turning a potential liability into a linchpin, basically. But of course, this is a theater of football. Every decision is a nail-biter one. It's a risk that you have to take. Every move is a risk. But this one promises to me that will keep us fans on the edge. Let's see what happens. I think it's the right move. Because you can get a left tackle like a Jordan Morgan. We've done multiple mock drafts here already. You can get a Jordan Morgan at left tackle in the second round. And you're killing two birds with one stone there. It makes sense. Unless you want him to stay at left tackle and continue to look like an ice skater trying out for the Olympics. Because I've never seen a big man on skates before, but I sure have this season with this one. Son of a bitch looks like over there freaking sliding away to first. JP likes the ice skating. Taylor Moten, same thing. Yeah. It's an issue. It's an issue, but Icky is more of an issue, I would say, than a Moten keep pounding. Next week, Clay will be all over. We'll see. We will see. Yeah, he's a run blocker at first. He is. He's a run blocking scheme. That's why you move him to the left guard. His footwork, he moves straight forward and back. He's not agile enough. When you're a left tackle or right tackle, you have to be agile enough to move sideline to sideline very well. Your footwork has to be able to move like that. And if you can't, then you're more playing like a guard. A guard moves forward and back for the most part. Yeah, they need to be a little agile, but not as much as a left tackle and right tackle when you're going up against these edge rushers. But wasn't James Campson considered one of the best offensive line coaches? He was. He was. But how's that showing right now? Again, they also went with developmental players instead of bringing in, guys who've actually played in the league, right? Have already been or experienced. Like, I would much rather have these guys here than a Nash Jansen, Chandler Zavala, Cade Mays, guys that have actually played. And then they finally smarted up and getting a guy like Gabe Jackson and these other guys. And look what happened. You got experience on the offensive line, and we saw something better. Now, yesterday, that's a different story. So, game recap. Let's bring it in here. Bring it in. Lock in. Because this was a catastrophe of a game. Okay? This team has literally hit rock bottom, and we all know that's on David Tepper. Okay? We all know that this team has hit rock bottom, and that's on David Tepper. Okay? We all know that, and we're all being honest here. It's all on David Tepper. Okay, but this team lost 26-0 yesterday, and the Jaguars wasted no time scoring. We lost to a backup quarterback in CJ Berthead, who has now led the journey of a modest runs and quick passes, and just left our defense in a daze and confused, basically. Brian Burns saved a bit of face, forcing the Jaguars to settle for a field goal. The Panthers respond, had a drive going. They started off promisingly, but ended with the kicker on ice, opting for a daring 4th and 7 attempt, resulting in Bryce Young being sacked. In the second quarter, the Jaguars' second field goal was like a slap in the face for us. Okay? They continued their offensive approach. Back-to-back sacks on Young. Then the offensive line, again, we saw the offensive line resembling what they looked like at the beginning of the season. They were leaking opportunities faster than a politician revealing his promises. What else? The half basically concluded with Young seeking medical attention and the Jaguars basking in the glory of dominance. Okay. Then in the third quarter, you started attempting to run the ball. Basically proved not much. There was barely anything there. It was like watching us trying to run the ball against the Jaguars this game. It was like trying to convince a cat to take a bath. But all it did was lead to yet another punt. Travis Etienne treated the field like it was a runway. He sprinted for 62 yards for a touchdown. The Panthers offense continued its streak of 3 and outs. Then a scuffle happened. That was the most entertaining part. That was more entertaining than our offense was. Then it resulted in ejections of Cam Robinson and Derek Brown. We all know that. Then in the fourth quarter, Young's trying to do something. He's trying to salvage what's going on. Basically, it was like trying to salvage a tragic comedy, That's basically what it resembled, a tragic comedy. He had some overthrows, some misconnections. The Jaguars extended their lead 26-0. Turned the game into basically a slapstick performance for them. Young's garbage time drive had a grace of a giraffe. Basically reminded me of a giraffe on roller skates, which concluded with an interception that felt like the final punchline for me. Carolina's offense was definitely the talk of the town in this game. Now, looks more like a sitcom on its last season. Panier's injury added insult to injury, preventing any field goal attempts. Brian Burns shown like a lone star on a cloudy night. And the offensive line was more was non-existent, let's be honest. The Panthers held scoreless for the first time since 2002 again. Now we face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that hopefully that is the final act of this disastrous season. All right. Teppers. But then, we'll get more into my final thoughts. Let's get into Mr. Bryce Young's performance. Yep, he needs to go. We need a 60-40 pass block oriented offensive line that can adapt to any type of scheme we put in, and with the new coach, we need to adapt to Bryce. At this moment in time, that comment right there might be one of the most makes sense things I've seen a fan of my show come in here and say, because I've been saying that. But again, I'm not the GM or the owner. I'm not the one making the decisions. I just tell you what I think, right? Either get a left tackle in free agency or draft, but we need a new one. Chris Mack, I've looked at left tackle free agencies. There's nobody there that I want, and especially if you're looking for that franchise guy, he's not there. Like, yeah, you could get a guy like a guy out of New England. I can't remember his name, but he's like 28 years old. So he's only going to probably play for another 4 years, and then that's it. And how much of that are we getting out of him is a good question. I got some good analogies there, Mad Chatter. I got some good analogies there. Everyone is frustrated with Young, but we're not throwing drinks on others. Nope, we're not. 20 viewers, 20 likes, badass. Yeah, I appreciate all the likes, guys. I really do. Really do appreciate all the likes. The more the likes, the more people get, like I said, the more people get in here. The more people get in here, folks, and that's what we want. And that's all I asked for. So I appreciate that. Campen is considered a top line coach, makes me realize how much important the scheme fit for players is crucial. Exactly. I've been preaching on that. The Rose Bowl is about to start, folks. Tepper is a joke. Okay, every new outlet now. I know. Every news outlet's all over it right now. Our O-line has been hurt also, though. Josh, again, though, you got to be able to it's all about survival and adapting in the NFL. And we have not done that. But that's also on our GM for not adequately bringing the right talent and depth to this team. I've been preaching that. We can suggest things all we want, but like you said, we don't run the team. I'm a YouTuber in case you weren't aware. Well, keep pounding. Maybe we can collab one of these days. I'm always open to that. All right, let's talk about Bryce's performance. Bryce always proves toughness to me. I mean, the narrative around his durability took center stage when he took that sack and left him down briefly. And I thought it was a potential back injury. I thought he was done the way he stayed on the field. But critics are always ready to pounce on questioning this kid's toughness. And we've been questioning it because of his size, right? We've all been saying that. We've been saying that since the beginning of the season. We were talking about it even probably before the draft and before we even drafted. But he still got up. So for me, that showed some toughness there, showed some resilience. And so I can't doubt him on that. He has taken a lot of relentless punishment this season, let's be honest, because he is behind a leaky offensive line. But he still goes out there and plays. And he still goes out there and fights like his arm is on his sleeve. So I have to give the kid credit where it's due in that aspect of things. Now, the first half was absolutely atrocious, okay? The run game wasn't there. And I think that really was what the Jaguars took away, and that threw a wrench into, I think, the Panthers game plan. They disguised coverages. They had blitz packages that really left Young in this offense in total disarray. We had no kicker, right? Because of the Eddie Piñeiro's hamstring tweak, which that only added to the misery because you couldn't at least kick a field goal to either at least try to, add some points to the scoreboard or, take some pressure off a little bit, right? But you could tell that Young's mood on the sideline shifted visibly. It culminating in what seemed like he broke his tablet, right? I think that's a fitting metaphor for really what the Panthers' forgettable performance. I'm trying to forget this performance, but the statistics for me is the biggest thing. That painted the bleak picture of what happened in this game. He's 64.28 completion percentage, 41 passing yards in the first half, and 4 sacks already, with a 68.2 passer rating. But 4 sacks already against him. It was just one of those days for Bryce Young, let's be honest. He struggled to find any rhythm whatsoever. He took an early hit, timing issues with the receivers, under constant duress, interception late in the game. Just added to the whole disappointment. He only had 112 yards, faced 6 sacks, and at the end of the day, he had a disappointing passer rating for me of a 53.1. It's just a bad day at the office. A terrible day. So with Bryce Young's future now in this holding that we've got going on here, that final whistle blew at the end of the game. It just became clear that this was a step backwards for me with Bryce Young. There was opportunities that he missed. The blocking of the offensive line was no show. And all of the frustrations mounted. And I'm not going to say that solely Bryce Young's fault here. But he did play a part in the Panthers' 14th season loss. Given the circumstances of what has gone on this season, folks, it's hard. I've been saying this and I'll say it again. It's hard for me to evaluate this season of him because it's been challenging because of the circumstances, the injuries. Well, first off, the ownership, the GM, the coaching staff, the firing of the coaching staff, the changing of the play callings, the changing of the schemes. But dismissing his potential based on this off day, I guess you could say, is a little asinine for me. This team has to look to regroup this offseason. We'll see what Young's future holds. Everyone is always just a game away in the NFL. Just remember that. That's all I got to say about Bryce Young's future. Sounds good. Sounds good, Keep Pounding. I appreciate that. Nah, he wasn't the same for sure. Vietnam. I believe that too. It's on ESPN, Matt Chatter. All right. So let's talk about this. This is something we need to definitely do because this is another football fiascos. This situation right here. Is the number one draft debacle the pieces of a de resistance? I like using that French term there. Of the Carolina Panthers' embarrassment history. I feel like it's not just a stain. It's a full-blown ink spill on this team's reputation. It has to be leaving us fans questioning if they accidentally stepped into a parallel universe where winning is an alien concept. Remember when the big wigs at the Panthers headquarters were popping that champagne over that brilliant trade they made with the Chicago Bears for that 2023 number 1 overall pick. They acted like they pulled off the heist of the century. Seriously. Because if you fast forward a few months, we're knee deep in a Sunday shutout, losses, and a bitter taste of regret. Scott Fitterer, the mastermind behind this grand plan, of course, I think also we have to talk about Mr. David Tepper probably getting involved in this, of course, as well. But boldly declared that he wouldn't be picking in the top 10. Well, congratulations, Scott. You played yourself. That's what you did. You played your fucking self. Because the Panthers are now handing Chicago the golden ticket to that 2024 NFL draft. And it's not even Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's more like the factory of the football follies. And then DJ's more absent has felt like a punch to the gut for this team. All right. Bryce Young is navigating a ship through a sea of misfortune. And the Panthers are supposed to push for the NFC South title. Now, I was one of those clowns that thought that. I was definitely one of those clowns. I've been eating my crow for that from the beginning of the season. But this team was supposed to push for the NFC South title. That was a punchline waiting for a setup. And the jokes are all on me or anybody else that believed that. Let's remember the sideshow staring David Tepper, who recently had that beverage escapade. Okay? It's just a circus of errors, folks. It's a circus of errors here in Carolina. And the Panthers are unwilling participants of this situation. Now, here's the thing. In his wisdom, okay, Scott Fitterer decides to skip the media circus post-game, leaving interim head coach Chris Tepper to face the music. And Tepper, in a move that can only be described as fearless or foolhardy, claims he's not bothered by handing Chicago the crown jewel of the draft. So it made me think, maybe he's auditioning for a stand-up comedy gig after this coaching stint. Because, I mean, what a fuck. Let's be honest. Sure, Bryce Young might eventually be worth the compensation. There is that narrative out there, but maybe not. It could go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history for an organization. But this isn't about his potential. What we're talking about right now is about Fitterer's spectacular mismanagement. The roster is a construction zone of disaster, with veteran contracts resembling anchors that are dragging this ship down already, and established stars eyeing to exit to get the fuck out. Fitterer previously escaped scrutiny. He gave Matt Rule the final word in personnel matters. And not anymore. This number 1 pick giveaway is not just atrocious. It's a neon sign. It's a neon sign. You ever seen those neon signs? You see them all the time. Open, close, crazy. You know, the big ass neon signs. It's screaming, change needed ASAP. New head coach needed. New GM needed. Draft picks needed. But change needed ASAP is really what it just says. Okay. I was going a little bit over exaggerated there. But here we are, guys. We're contemplating if Tepper's and affinity for yes men will save Fitterer from his guillotine of accountability, because that's what he's in. He's in a guillotine of his accountability. It's a sad scenario. It's a football tragic comedy. Everything is showing of the Panthers' failures because of this. Change is guaranteed. Change is guaranteed here. But whether it brings redemption or more embarrassment, only time will tell in this whole thing of the Panthers organization. So one more thing. I got final thoughts here. I got some final thoughts. In this whole grand finale of things, though, with David Tepper's little temper tantrum, with this whole disastrous 2023 season, with a debacle of handing over a first-round pick, number 1 overall, by the way, to the Chicago Bears, how do you rescue a sinking ship like this? Because basically, David Tepper has been a bull in a china shop. Yeah, he's got all the money. He's swimming in all this money. But again, David Tepper's expedition into this whole football world has been nothing but questionable coaching decisions, trades, and it makes you question if he's working for an opposing team. Honestly, is he working for these opposing teams in the NFC South or in the NFC or in the NFL in general? Is he just trying to fuck us? Because the Panthers' win column has plummeted faster than a lead balloon. These are my final thoughts on this. All right, final thoughts on this. Turn everything into gold doesn't always include turning a struggling football team into a playoff contender, David Tepper. Under your reign since 2018, the Carolina Panthers have become a tragedy of the NFL. 0 playoffs, coaching changes that really make soap operas look stable. Let's be honest. All right. A top-notch training facility now echoing in the ghost of abandoned dreams. That's gone. We have endured a 2-14 humiliating record. And we're all left pondering in this profound impact of Tepper's apparently genius moves. This video, his recent drink throwing performance, is just the icing on the cake of what has gone on this season with this football team. With all the grace of a bullfrog attempting ballet is basically what we have been watching. Maybe instead of trying to buy success with your money, David Tepper, maybe you should consider investing in football management for a dummy's handbook. That's what you should do. Money is not going to buy you to the Super Bowl, David Tepper. That is not how the NFL works. These magical trade decisions that you were thinking, the hope for the Panthers supporters doesn't rest in the number 1 draft pick. No. It does not. It lies in the potential for a total reset. That's where it lies. Actually doing a full rebuild, not a retool, because that's what you've been doing. Whether it's a new GM or new head coach, or all of a sudden we find this revelation that football knowledge is more valuable than a stack of $100 bills. And it is. You need to shift your focus elsewhere, Tepper. As I've surveyed this wreckage of this disastrous season, folks, one can only help but question if Tepper's Midas touch It's just fool's gold in the unpredictability of this football world. Tepper should consider a crash course in football strategy instead of indulging in impulsive acts that would make a toddler proud. Let's be honest. Those are my final thoughts for today, guys. Those are my final thoughts of today. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. That was a hell of a show. Appreciate everyone getting in the chat today. Appreciate everyone pounding that like button like you have. Up to 20 likes today. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. 20 likes. I like it. 26 likes. Holy smokes. Y'all are killing it. 26 likes today. But those are my final thoughts, guys. Just be on the lookout for more NFL content, guys. Got some more Carolina Panthers content you're coming your way. I am going to go eat myself some dinner. I'm going to go enjoy myself some dinner and go watch this Rose Bowl. So, the Fit News should drop in the morning. I'm hoping so. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So, appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Of course, make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those two things, that's the best thing you can do. Get in the comment section like everybody else has throughout this live stream tonight. Awesome show. I hope y'all enjoyed it as well. I enjoyed chatting with you guys in the chat as well. Make sure you join the link tree. The link tree is down below. Don't not join the link tree, but go check out the link tree down below. You can go check out the Discord. You can come and join that community over there with me and the Ropp gang. Also, make sure you go check me out on all my social media. Go check it out. I'm very active on all of those. Okay. Very active. So go check it out. And also, shout out to our sponsorship of every live stream, betus.com. Sign up for free today. You get 125% bonus on your first bet, which means if you bet, you sign up and you bet $100, they'll give you basically free $125 to bet. So free money is always nice in my opinion, especially when betting. You never know what can happen. You could hit on something. So just saying. So again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. As always, guys, love every single one of you. Happy New Year. Thank you for all your support, and I will see y'all tomorrow. And as always, y'all know what to do. Keep pounding. Peace.